Hannity Show and the Stop Obama Express. The countdown to taking our country back. T-minus 244 days till Election Day 2012. Now, with the best election coverage in America, here's Sean Hannity.
All right, thanks, Scott Shannon. Welcome aboard. Glad you are with us. This post-Super Tuesday edition of the Sean Hannity Show, 2012, the year to defeat Obama, save America, and toll-free, it's 800-941-SEAN if you want to be a part of the program. If you are on Twitter, it's at Sean Hannity. Now, we lost our friend Andrew Breitbart. He was a friend of this program, personal friend of mine, and he was put to rest yesterday. And as we were paying tribute to him and he was a warrior. He was 24/7. He was 150 miles an hour. Why? Because he loved his family, he loved his country, and he believed in a cause. He believed in something. And he was fearless. And that's why everybody admired him. And that's why so many people spoke out in sadness at the tragic passing. 43 years old. He has 4 young children, all the age 12 and under. And he said something this year at CPAC that got a lot of people's attention. And when we were paying tribute to Andrew on Hannity on the TV show, Steve Bannon was on, very close friend of his. I asked him about these comments that Andrew had made at CPAC this year. Here's Andrew's comments.
It's over. There's no such thing as a moderate Democrat. And so what do we get now in Barack Obama? Well, I've got videos, by the way. This election, we're going to vet him. I've got videos. This election, we're going to vet him from his college days to show you why racial division and class warfare are central to what Hope and Change was sold in 2008. The videos are going to come out. The narrative is going to come out that Barack Obama met a bunch of silver ponytails back in the 1980s, like Bill and Bernadine Dorn, who, equally radical, said one day we're going to have the presidency, and the rest of us slept while they plotted and they plotted and they plotted, and they oversaw hundreds of millions of dollars in the Annenberg Challenge, and they had real money.
All right, so that's what he said. And I asked Steve Bannon about this. I said, Steve, a lot of people have been writing me and asking me, what about these tapes that Andrew had mentioned? Anyway, here to discuss all of this, Breitbart.com now has an article up that these tapes, in fact, will be released tonight, unedited, on Hannity, on the Fox News channel. Ben Shapiro and Joel Pollak are with us now to give us a little bit of a preview to explain what all of this means. Guys, I know it's big government. I know it's big Hollywood, big journalism. And, of course, you guys have your newly rejuvenated site. I don't know what to say, relaunched site.
Yes, Breitbart.com is the relaunch of all the bigs packaged in one front page, Breitbart.com. It was Andrew's dream to relaunch the site, and we made sure it was done on time, on schedule, and it's up there at Breitbart.com. It's all the bigs under one roof.
And he died literally a day before the launch, and he had been working, from what I understand, from people close to him, 24/7, designing this, putting this together. This was his new dream.
Andrew's vision was that this would start one day without an announcement. It would just happen, and people would suddenly realize what he had done. He didn't want a lot of fanfare before it happened, but yes, that's correct. He was working on it in the year, month, and even on the day before he passed away. This is Andrew's dream, and we're very pleased with the way it's gone so far.
All right, let's talk about what Andrew was referring to here at CPAC. Ben, why don't we start with you?
Basically, what Andrew was referring to was we saw today that BuzzFeed released a portion of tape that they had received from a station, a Boston television station. And we have more than that, as you'll find out tonight. I mean, John, you and I talked about this, and we're excited because, look, Andrew's task was to get people to vet this president. The only reason that these people actually went and vetted the president and went out and tried to find these tapes at all is because of him. And so now our job is to make sure that they tell the whole story, not just the selectively edited portion that the media would have you believe here.
Yeah, well, now this is important because I've known, and I've been discussing this with a lot of people for a long period of time here, that there are what was released earlier today is really selectively edited tape here, and why don't you explain in detail, Joel? I'll let you jump in if you want. And what exactly will people see tonight on Hannity on these tapes?
On Hannity tonight, you will see the full tape of what we are going to reveal of this particular controversy. Remember, there are a whole series of events, tapes, and things that Barack Obama participated in that were not vetted, that were not searched for. We know where they are. We are going to be focusing on this particular controversy, and we are going to release the full tape that Andrew Breitbart knew about, was planning for, and everything is tonight on Hannity. And it's not just going to be about Barack Obama and his views, although that's a big part of it. You're going to see information tonight on Hannity that proves the cover-up between the mainstream media, between academia, and between Obama's supporters everywhere to make sure that this information never made it to the public, never made it into the campaign, never made it to the American consciousness.
And this was bragged about by a professor at Harvard, and you have the tape of that.
We will reveal all on Hannity tonight.
All right, so I guess you're telling me in code here that you don't want me to go into names and specifics here. Let me see if we can lay this foundation without going too deep into this. One of the things that I tried hard to do in 2007 and 2008, and I've been in the radio business since 1986, I've never come under as much fire as when I went into Barack Obama, the radical associations. I would not let go of Reverend Wright and Bill Ayers and Bernardine Dorn and other controversial figures and Tony Resco and Father Flager and all of these people that the president surrounded himself with. And the mainstream media, and we see all the vetting that these Republican candidates are going through now. And every question is being asked repeatedly, ad nauseum. But yet only one time did the president who gave speeches with Bill Ayers, sat on boards with Bill Ayers, began his political career in the guy's house, an unrepentant terrorist, part of a terrorist organization, the Weather Underground, on September 11, 2001, brags that he doesn't regret setting the bombs at the Capitol, New York City Police Headquarters, etc. Nobody asked a question except one time, George Stephanopoulos. And Obama's answer was, George, you're just the guy in the neighborhood. And the only reason George asked the question was because he was on this program the day before, and I fed him the question. And then he was excoriated for that. But this is deeper, because tonight you're going to show on these tapes the associations with more radicals. Is that fair?
That's right. That's right. And Sean, I think that what you can see on the tape is, obviously it's already been released, is that Obama is very close with a particular guy named Derek Bell, who was a professor at Harvard Law and was not just a normal professor. He was extraordinarily radical. He was a devotee of what's called critical race theory, as Joel can explain better than I can. But if you have to sum it all up in one thing, Derek Bell wrote a piece in 1993, and this kind of reflects his general worldview, in which he posited, it was a science fiction novella, in which he posited that if aliens came to the United States and offered to relieve the U.S. national debt, white people would in return sell them every black person in America, and Jews would stand by doing nothing. This is the guy who is one of Obama's radical intellectual founders.
And we find on tape there's no ambiguity here in terms of the relationship between Obama and this radical Derek Bell. He can't say he's just a guy in the neighborhood.
No, he cannot say he's just a guy in the neighborhood. And Sean Hannity, if I could sum it all up, Derek Bell is the Jeremiah Wright, or was. He passed away last year. Derek Bell was the Jeremiah Wright of academia. And he would have been proud to say he was the Jeremiah Wright of academia, because the ties between Jeremiah Wright and Derek Bell are very, very close indeed.
Yeah. And so there's a particular setting in which all of this happens. I don't know if you want to give people a little taste of what we're talking about.
Well, I'll tell you this. Derek Bell was the originator of a school of thought called critical race theory. And he said that the civil rights laws were bad for black people because it encouraged black people to believe that there could be racial equality. In his view, the entire system, the entire United States of America, was white supremacist to its core. and therefore you have to bring the entire system down. This is what he taught, this is what he wrote, and these are the ideas that Obama says on tape are inspiring him and causing everyone to open their minds. This is the man who is and was the Jeremiah Wright of academia.
And here's the key. The critical imagery from that tape has been cut and will be shown tonight.
In other words, that's part of the selective editing. They didn't want this part of it out. Now, I won't mention the person's name here, but there's part 2 of all of this that we will show on Hannity tonight, and that is that one of Obama's close friends is on tape admitting that he wouldn't release the tape because he didn't want it to hurt Obama. Correct?
It's worse than that. It's not that he wouldn't release the tape. It's that he hid the tape. And we have other evidence to that effect that we will talk about tonight on your show.
I mean, it's basically a cover-up of pretty monumental proportions, is that, you know, while I was getting beat up and you guys were getting beat up and a few others of us out there were a few for trying to vet him and let the American people and asking questions that you would ask of any presidential candidate, that there was a concerted effort here to prevent the American people from knowing who Obama's associates, friends were.
And Sean, it's all part of it. That's exactly right. And it's all part of a pattern. I mean, we've made it our mission to vet this president. This is what Andrew wanted. This is what Andrew wanted seen done. And we said we're going to vet this guy. And we've already seen that, for example, we released earlier this week that President Obama, back when he was just Barack Obama, was associated closely with a play called The Love Song of Saul Alinsky. The tape of that play has been hidden by an Obama supporter who will not release it. This is how things have gone for the last 4 years. It's over. We're all citizen journalists. We have to
let me ask you a question.
That Andrew left us.
Did anything happen, and by the way, if you're just joining us, Joel Pollak, editor-in-chief of Breitbart.com, and Ben Shapiro is the editor-at-large of Breitbart.com, the newly launched website, and they'll be joining us on Hannity tonight with the release of these tapes. Let me ask you this. Remember the L.A. Times had this tape?
Rashid Khalidi.
Yes, Rashid Khalidi. And has anything ever come of that?
No, I mean, it's just unbelievable. Why in the world wouldn't the L.A. Times, a news outlet, release what is very clearly newsworthy? But this just goes back to the same pattern. And I promise you, Sean, that if we all get together on this, if we all fight for this, our job is to be we're not vetting the president. We are now vetting the media. And we're all part of the media. It's not just up to what the elites tell us is the media. It's our job to vet our politicians, and we're not going to leave it to people who are their allies.
You know, I said in 2008, journalism is dead. I think I'm going to take that back. Journalism is alive in a new form. It's alive in Breitbart.com. It's alive on Twitter. It's alive in social media. It's alive on talk radio. It's alive on Fox News. But it's the old media which is dead and buried. In my mind.
Sean, it's exactly that. And Andrew Breitbart's mission was to protect the American people from being victims to the mainstream media. He spoke out for all of those who were victims of those who would impose their views and who would keep information hidden. Ben's exactly right. There's a universe of material. We've got a lot of it. This is one piece of it. We know there's a lot more out there. There's a lot more that we have. So stay tuned. You should watch Hannity tonight, and stay tuned to Breitbart.com for more. We're calling this project the vetting. We're vetting Barack Obama. We're going to vet the Republican presidential candidates as well.
You know, and by the way, I've been telling people as this intramural battle and fight has been going on within the Republican primary, which, by the way, I think is a good and healthy thing. I'd rather all this stuff get out now than later. I think people have been paying very close attention to it. But I keep telling people I've been working on Project 2012 or the Obama Project. I mean, we all ought to combine efforts here, and I got to tell you something, because I don't think the media will do one thing. You know, there's so much information out there about what then candidate Obama said and then what he did. You know, it's like Obama in this case, you know, he's calling Sandra Fluck, but I didn't see that he picked up a phone and he called, you know, Governor Palin after Bill Maher used the C word against her. Instead, he takes $1 million, as PAC does, from a donation from Bill Maher.
Yeah, and it's not just a matter of double standards. That's a matter of coordination. Obama, the Democrats, organizations like Media Matters, they're out there coordinating these narratives because they realized what a huge mistake Obama made when he stepped on the religious freedom of Americans. They're trying to change the narrative because they realize that to save this president, they've got to do that. So they've coordinated, and the mainstream media is part of this. They're working on this, making a big deal out of Sandra Fluck and all the stuff around that, it's such a minor issue. But the fact that Obama tore up the Bill of Rights to impose his will through Obamacare, that they want to hide.
I know
Obama, Obama has a media that has built a glass wall around him. It's time for all of us to pick up hammers. They're not just protecting him and shielding him. They are actively hiding material to save him. And we have to go in there and we have to dig.
I know both of you were at Andrew's funeral yesterday in Los Angeles. Can you just give us a little insight? I know it was only close friends and family. Can you tell us a little bit about it?
I mean, I know for me it was inspiring. I knew Andrew for 12 years, and I think it was very fitting. It opened up with what I would consider bad 1980s alt rock music, and it closed with Andrew asking everybody to stand up and sing the national anthem. And I think that really speaks to who Andrew Breitbart was, and I think that that's how we should approach our task. You know, we're joyous warriors in the mold of Andrew, and we all have to pick up that torch now.
Yeah. Well, listen, we'll see you both on Hannity tonight. One last question. Is there anything, other projects you're working on?
Oh, yeah, there's plenty.
All right.
Oh, yeah.
All right. Well, get ready to get audited and more. Joel Pollak, editor-in-chief, the newly launched Breitbart.com. By the way, himself a graduate of Harvard Law School. And Ben Shapiro is with us, and he is the editor-at-large of Breitbart.com and author of Primetime Propaganda. And we'll both be joining us tonight on Hannity on the Fox News Channel as we show this tape for the first time in its entirety, not edited, on Hannity, 9 Eastern. Set your DVR, and we hope you'll join us. Quick break. The Obama Project continues straight ahead.